So the first thing that I will talk about is what exactly is Flutter. Let's take an example. Let's just say I'm Android developer and I created a banking app which has variety of functionalities and people just loved it. But this app is only available on Android. So every other day I got message like when it will be available on iOS. And at some point I made up my mind to build the same app on iOS. But first I have to learn Swift and StoryBoard or SwiftUI, which will take some time to learn. And after that I will be able to launch my app on Apple AppStores. So this is great for the users that it finally available on both platforms, which is iOS and Android. But for me, it means I have to learn several programming language and logics to maintain those apps for any bug fixes, and this is really a hectic task. So you can see that for one app, I have to work a lot on both code bases, which is lot of work down the line. And it's basically double the amount of work that I used to have. Also, there will be some design issues like when we click on zip code text box, then keyboard appears instead of numpad, which is a bad user experience. Also, there can be contrast in an app in which in iOS the same app will look different because it will made with the help of storyboard or SwiftUI, and in Android we will use XML or Jetpack Compose. Now here's where Flutter comes in. We see more and more screens everywhere, like screen in ATM machines, screen in your car, screen in your mirror, and they all have different aspect ratios and different screen sizes. So the Flutter creates something that can intelligently allow developer to design an app for all of these different types of screens. Flutter is simply a toolkit that can make it easy for a developer to design beautiful interfaces for all kind of devices, and it comes with whole bunch of pre-built widgets that make it easy to lay out your app, such as laying out your app with containers, rows and columns, how to lay out button, where should be the app bar, and if you are familiar with web development, you can see that it actually borrows some of the concept from web design, where you can have things that are centered or having padding and margins. What Flutter wants it to have a blank window and it will render the design with some line of code and whatever animation or interaction you want. So this means that instead of making a separate app for iOS the Apple way and Android app the Android way, you can simply build an app via Flutter, such as floating action button or a little dialog, and you can simply put this in your app no matter which platform you are working on. Flutter team even designed widgets that will look for the platform. For example, your pop-up menu will look like this on iOS app, but you can also specify that if your app will be used on Android, then they should look like this, making your app look like it was created in a native way. This is how Flutter works. We will see lots of different widgets in near future. So in short, Flutter makes it easy to build beautiful interfaces for our app using widgets, and we can customize our widgets with just few lines of code. So let's see these things in practical, but first we have to download IDE and Flutter SDK to build our app. So I will see you in next module.